Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is my team builder for week 1 of the playoffs of UBC season number 3. I am the coach of the Baltimore Oriolus. In this first playoff match, we are going to be taking on Sir Squire, coach of the Broadway Blastoise. We had a really close game against him. It was a 1-0 in our favor, but it was purely due to hacks. It was actually really kind of pathetic how disgusting my victory was. Like, I really didn't deserve it, and I still feel kind of bad about it. But I want to give my hats off to Squire for handling it like a champ, or at least that's how he's given off the appearance. Maybe he's been building all this rage inside, and he's just gonna let me have it in this match. But let's go through his team in case you don't remember it from the first time. He does have a Mega Venusaur, Latios, Rotom, Darmanitan, Honchkrow, Tornadus, Diancie, Dugtrio, Hitmonlee, Metagross, and Jinx. So, offensively, Darmanitan is a huge threat to my team. I don't really have a fantastic switch-ins for Banded Flare Blitz. I do have Blastoises, and you can see that they're on the team. I almost didn't bring it, actually, but talked with some friends and with the Verd, and they gave me some pointers. And also Honchkrow is really scary versus my team, just because the combination of Sucker Punch and Brave Bird, or just Dark Move and Brave Bird, is gonna incinerate my team. And then I'm also scared of things like Venusaur obviously is pretty tough to deal with. I really didn't have a great answer for that before. And it also didn't help that I brought the wrong Zapdos. I thought it had a Hidden Power Flying, but the Showdown cooked it up with EVs for Hidden Power Dragon. So that was unfortunate. Not that Hidden Power Flying does a ton to like a defensive Venusaur, but it would have been nice to be able to do some damage to it. And also like Rock Polish, Metagross, or Unburden Hitmonlee can be big threats. Also, Rotom's really hard to deal with. I don't have a great way of taking that on. I do have a Reuniclus, as you can see, that should take it on pretty well. But anyway, let's just hop on into the team. I have some fun sets in here. I had some more fun sets. No, I think I have all my fun sets for the most part. Except for one that I changed due to some recommendations. But anyway, let's hop on into it. I gotta make this quick because it's late and I gotta go to bed because I gotta go to work early. So, here we go. I do have, as you can see, Blastoise with Scald, Dragon Tail, Rest, and Sleep Talk. This is really similar to the set I brought before, but I exchanged leftovers for Rocky Helmet. This is just to make the recoil on Darmanitan add up even more quickly. And if he wants to go for back-to-back Flare Blitzes against me, that's fine. I can go for Rest, get back up to full HP, and potentially hit him up with either a Scald or a Dragon Tail. And if I do happen to have Rocks up, which, you'll see my sets, may or may not be the case, it definitely is going to wear that Darmanitan down really fast. This thing really doesn't have any job other than that. It doesn't really want to take on like a Life Orb Honchkrow. It doesn't want to take on Venusaur at all. I guess it can take one hit from like Hitmonlee or Metagross and either fish for a burn or go for Dragon Tail if they're set up. So that's going to be the Blastoise set this week. Just full physical defense investment. There wasn't much reason to bring anything different in my opinion. Bringing a similar Zapdos set to what we brought before, mixed defensive, Volt Switch, Hidden Power Flying, Roost, and Toxic. Decided to go with Toxic instead of Thunder Wave because I had a hard time wearing down some members of his team. Like, unfortunately, it just doesn't deal that great with Venusaur. Like, the Thunder Wave was really nice for the Venusaur, but decided to stay away from that this time. I think Squire's going to have nightmares for the rest of his life about Zapdos, just with how filthy it was with all that hacks in the first game. I did run Static before, but I did a playtest with Verd, and we decided that Pressure is actually better. Because if we're facing down a Venusaur, it's nice to reduce the number of Synthesis that it can use.
But yeah, I think Zapdos is a really good Pokemon in this matchup.
just because he doesn't have a great way to deal with it. Because he does have Jinx to hit it super effectively with the Stab Ice move, but then Diancie can't hit it super duper hard with any sort of rock move. We're not weak to electric, and so like Rotom isn't going to be able to deal with us that well. We can Toxic him, and even if he goes for Will-O-Wisp, I don't particularly care. Like, it stinks, but I'd rather be Will-O-Wisp than Toxic. So if he wants to pass that on to us, then we can basically roost forever on whatever we need to. Next up, we do have a Calm Mind Reuniclus with a sort of mixed defensive spread. I didn't want to go full physically defensive because I wanted to be able to have this as a reliable switch into Venusaur and to Rotom. I had a fully specially defensive set on here before with Thunder Wave, but made the change after a little bit of playtesting. He doesn't have a great way to deal with this thing besides Conch Crow. If he decides not to bring it, or I'm able to eliminate that thing somehow with like the combination of Hippowdon and Zapdos, then this thing has a really good shot to win. Something like Power Up Punch Metagross could be a problem for it, for sure. And that's where the T-Wave would be nice. But I really wanted to have Calm Mind recover and then 2 attacking moves. Because without Shadow Ball, I can't hit Metagross, I can't hit Latias, and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is going to be a great defensive Pokemon this week, and also a potential late game win condition. Next up, we have probably the most offensive member of our team this week, a Life Orb Stoutland. This definitely has the potential to clean up. He hits his entire team neutrally with Return, Crunch, and Iron Head, because the only normal resists he has are Metagross, which if he's full HP, Crunch does about 50%, and then Iron Head is for Diancie. If he's fully physically defensive, it takes like 85%, but that's only if he's fully physically defensive. He could be, because it's a fairly decent Lopunny check. By the way, you might notice I don't have Lopunny on this team. I had it on my initial mock, but I wanted the Blastoise instead. But yeah, this thing can put a lot of work in, and it'd be great to use it as a late game cleaner. I'd also be happy using it as a sort of mid game breaker. I think that should be fine. And then we have enough speed on this thing to outspeed both a what do you call it? It outspeeds a Metagross that's Adamant max speed, and then it also outspeeds Choice Scarf, Darmanitan, and the Sand. Those were the 2 things that I wanted to run. Next up, I do have a pretty fun Hippowdon set. Stealth Rock, Slack Off, Stone Edge, Earthquake with Eject Button. Eject Button's awesome on Hippowdon. It comes in, it can take a big hit from really anything. It's not going to appreciate like a Grass Knot from a Tornadus or whatever, but say it comes in on like a Metagross's Meteor Mash or something, it takes maybe like 40%, 30%, probably more like 30% if he's not Life Orb or something like that. Or even like a Earthquake from a Darmanitan, even a Flare Blitz from a Darmanitan. Like, I don't want to take that, but we can. And then get an immediate switch, a safe switch right into Stoutland, and start to put in some work. So shoutouts to Chimpact for this set. I watched him play a match in the CPC before he quit, where he used this, and I've been waiting to use it all season. It's just going to be so damn awesome. Hippowdon doesn't have a fantastic matchup otherwise versus Squire, but it does have Sand to limit the survivability of Venusaur, both in terms of residual damage and also making the Synthesis weaker. But in addition to that, it sets up the Sand for Stoutland. So I don't mind, Hippowdon's really here just for Sand. I do want it to set up rocks and things like that. I'm probably not gonna be able to set up rocks before I get off my eject button. So it's gonna be like late game rocks, but that might be all that I need. Because then if I can set up Sand, let this thing go down and come in with Buddy, should set the stage for a sweep. And then my last Mon this week can also put in the work, and it is a Trick Room, Safety Goggles, Bronzong. This is a fairly good switch into most anything on his team. I can switch into Latias. It can switch into lots of Venusaur sets. Although Squire did bring knockoff before, so I'll have to be aware of that. It also switches in on like a choice locked Haunch Crow if it's locked into Brave Bird and it doesn't have a Moxie boost. Switches in on what else? Lots of things. Lots of things. And this coverage hits his team pretty darn hard. It also switches in on Metagross and things like that. So we have a lot of opportunities to set up a Trick Room here, and then this coverage, yeah, as I've mentioned, hits his team fairly hard. So this is a Pokemon that they can also clean up in the late game. So even though my team is like fairly bulky, between like Reuniclus and like all of my other more passive Pokemon like Zapdos and Blastoise and things like that, and then like Bronzong being fairly bulky, like I have lots of win conditions, and I think that's a big issue that I've been having in this league. Is I've been bringing lots of bulk, but not lots of like ways to win. Like that definitely happened versus Squire in the first game, and that's the only reason. Like the Hax is the only reason that I won. Like he definitely would have cleaned me up if I hadn't haxed him out. So we're hoping to avoid that this week, and I do feel a lot better about our prep this time than the first time. And so I'm expecting him to prep for Lopunny. He's also going to probably prep for Haxorus because Haxorus is a really big threat against his team. I really wanted to bring it like a Dragon Dance set, but there's just not any Pokemon that I really can set up against besides Rotom. But even like Rotom obviously has Will-O-Wisp. I wanted to bring like Sub Haxorus, but Hydro Pump breaks my sub, and things like that. Maybe like on a Sucker Punch versus a Haunch Crow, we can set up a sub. But I just felt like this team of 6 was the best that I could bring. And not bringing things like a Moongus is really tough because Rotom becomes a lot more difficult to deal with, Diancie becomes more difficult to deal with, even Venusaur becomes a little bit more difficult to deal with without a Moongus. Like a Moongus can kind of take it on. But I think this is the right team. So anyway, this battle will be going up tomorrow. But by the time it's uploaded, I'm actually going to be traveling for a wedding. So I hope you guys are enjoying the battle. I'm going to be enjoying a nice ceremony between good friends and having some nice beverages while I do it. So make sure you check back for that. Make sure you go check out Squire's channel. Really nice guy, class act, good battler. Wish him nothing but the best. But hopefully in this match we can get the best of him. So make sure you check back to my channel for more Pokemon content. And until the next time, I will see you all later.